So there's a red pill community for women now. As a dude who used to be a huge red pill advocate, I know this is going to be toxic. Let's get into it.
A broke man is a dangerous man, and you have no business dating one.
Look, I'm not becoming one of those types of content creators, but I've seen too many videos in 2025 of women just portraying loser activity. So when I saw this video on Abba and Preacher's channel, I knew I had to make my own version of it. And literally, like somebody said in the comment section, there's just a bunch of contradictions on both sides. They don't even realize they are becoming fresh and fit with wigs on.
Back in the olden days, they would see 200 baddies in their whole life. And now it's like they are desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll have conversations with my guy friends where I need to check them, where I'm like, you need to check yourself. They'll be like, oh, well, her hair wasn't perfect, or she didn't have like veneers.
I always find it crazy how women get mad at men for having preferences. Like, you, especially on the internet, you will hear women bashing men, especially like if a black man likes a white woman or something like that, they will get crucified. But God forbid a black woman likes a white man. Oh, you guys are so cute. Like, why can't men have standards? Y'all always talk about how men can't be broke and they need to make six figures and they need to be 6 feet tall. So it's like, why do y'all care?
So I just didn't, and I'm like, you are a 4 at best. Like, this is insane.
Now, I know double standards exist, but literally think about if we saw any male content creator come out and do that exact type of content. Like, literally think about it. Just, let's say 2 men on a podcast based in Miami. Matter of fact, let's put some women around them and they just make those. That already exists. That's the whole red pill community. Male red pill content creators' core beliefs are that men should be high value, women are promiscuous, they're not to be trusted, they're gold diggers, etc.
Okay, I want to clear something up. The red pill isn't all about what you see from like Fresh and Fit, right? Like, I know a lot of red pill guys talk about the same things, but a red pill is really just a way for men to improve themselves. Like waking up to like, how do I put it? Waking up to like what most guys aren't aware of. Like, most guys think like, oh, if they only focus on making a woman happy, it's going to give them a happy life. Like, no, it teaches you to focus on yourself, be the best version of yourself. But a lot of guys obviously spin it and make it toxic,
etc. But when you really start paying attention to the women online, or hell, even the ones in person, they are saying the exact same things in reverse. Men don't deserve X, Y, and Z. Only high value men get respect. All these same red pill adjacent conversations.
I hate when short men try to talk to me like, do I look like I would want to have short children for you? I guarantee you this woman's under 5'5", but I digress.
And now maybe that woman
But
is just...
I'm not mad at her because that's her preference. You get what I'm saying? Like, I can joke about it, about her being less than 5'5", because I don't know how tall she is, but I would never get mad at a woman for having a preference like that.
into raising the next fleet of NBA players, but I think that there's a little bit more to it. Myron Gaines literally has a book titled Why Women Deserve Nothing, and he's a bona fide loser pretty much across the internet. But if a woman were to do the same thing, which they are, nobody bats an eye.
Sometimes men will grow to resent you for being the one that was there watching them struggle, for being the one that had to buy their underwear and buy them food. They feel like you've already seen them not looking like the provider.
I think women get this pass on the internet.
Okay, that sounds like the type of men that you deal with. Like, okay, if you're with a girl and you were doing good, then you have like hard times and you start struggling and she's there for you, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think women should date men who are already struggling. Like, when I say already struggling, I mean you gotta take care of them. Vice versa, as a man, you shouldn't date a woman where you gotta do every single thing for them. Like, to me, that's a burden. Like, both people should come with some things of their own.
Internet to say the most outrageous things about relationships and dating. The things that can make them seem like honestly goofies if anybody was giving a clear perspective. But the strange phenomenon about this is women will give them praise for saying just outlandish shit. Every time I scroll down the timeline, I see a video like the ones that we've shown, but I'll see a video like this. And then when I go to the comment section, it just has me looking, wow, amazed.
Whenever I've heard a man say, let me see what you look like with no makeup, let me see what you look like without the hair, I feel that that man is telling you that he does not have the money to finance your beauty upkeep. Don't come over here thinking that I'm gonna.
So if I have pictures on my Instagram, or I'm always wearing of me wearing hats, or if I'm always wearing hats and a woman asks to take my hat off to see if I'm hat fishing or see how my hair looks, that's her saying she can't afford to pay for my haircuts. She should pay for my haircuts now because she's seen my hair before. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, bro. They need to stop giving everybody a microphone.
Go to Sephora, get you some makeup. So I need to see you without all that because I want to strip you of all that because I ain't got it.
Or he wants to see how you actually fucking look. Food for thought.
When a man says that to you, he wants to strip you of everything. He doesn't want you to have the thought process of maintaining yourself.
One thing that the internet has to do in 2025 is when somebody slows down their verbiage, they need to stop listening to them. Very rarely are they spitting any sorts of facts. I can almost promise you that it has nothing to do with the upkeep that you have or you having some sort of lavish lifestyle that he can't participate in when you do it. He literally just wants to see what you look like without makeup on. Like, I don't even understand how you can jump to those hurdles in order to come to that conclusion. But the Olympics is in Los Angeles in a couple years, and if you're already ready right now, everybody else just needs to stop and not even compete.
Yeah, because she's a pro jumper.
Win if you were jumping to conclusions like this. It almost seems like when I watch videos like that people have things to hide about themselves. I hear videos talking about men don't need to know women's finances, men don't need to know women's dating history, men don't need to know what you look like without makeup, men don't need to know about your family life. Well, damn, then you get.
But women are supposed to know all this about men. Come on, man.
Mad when men don't know things about you, and it's because, well, it's none of their business. It's not something that they should know. It's not a means for them to protect themselves, just like it's a means for you to protect yourself, but it's them being judgmental and picky and all these other things. I don't see too many times when people call this sort of conversation out, but this is just as detrimental to dating from a female perspective as it is to a male perspective when you hear Fresh and Fit talk about only having the 304s. Now you're justifying why you should go out into the world doing these things, and it's not leading to any sorts of better.
I'm gonna say some shit I hate with a passion. I hate getting on the internet and hearing women say, well, a real man would do this, a real man would do that. Then they'll turn around and say, it's not a man's place to speak on what a woman should be doing. So how is it your place to speak on what a man should be doing? You've never been a man. Like, let's be honest for a second here. You've never been a man a second in your life. So why are you telling men how to be men?
Results. Hell, has she even ever thought about maybe this man is saying, hey babe, you can also just be comfortable in your own skin around me. You don't always have to wear makeup. So what happens 10, 15 years down the line? Do you continuously wear the makeup all the time? I just don't even think that there's any sort of logic that says, hey, let me be this combative over something so small and insignificant. Now, red pill content for men can breed mistrust and this whole stigma behind dating in women that honestly has men lonelier than ever. And on the flip side of that, it's doing the exact same things for women and nobody says anything.
There is not a single man who actually believes in not all men, because they'll tell their sisters and mothers to be careful, and they'll obsess over controlling their wives and daughters because they know deep down they too assume that men are all the same. But to everybody else, it's not all men. So to those men, instead of trying to distance yourself from the problem because you can't get over your bruised male ego, realize that if you refuse to acknowledge the problem by derailing the conversation and invalidating women, you are just as bad.
Now on certain
Okay, I'm gonna translate what she just basically said. She's basically saying that men, not all men believe in the saying not all men. Like, we all know deep down all men are bad people and we need to protect women from them. No. That's basically like saying I don't want my child living in the city of Chicago because there are some hoods in Chicago, so I'm going to not let them live anywhere near the city. It's like, no. We know that there are some areas in that city that aren't good, but there's areas in the city that are good, and we're protecting them from the areas that are not good. The same thing with what you're talking about with telling your women and your daughters, to not do certain things and not fall for certain things. We're not trying to protect you from all men. We're trying to protect you from the men that are not good. That's common sense. Just because you dated a bunch of scumbags, probably because you're a scumbag yourself, doesn't mean that all men are bad men. Same thing with women. Whenever men bash women, I'm like, you do know all women aren't bad women. You're just a scumbag and you probably dated scumbag women. Let's be honest.
Surface level, some of this stuff has good conversation and good intention behind it. There's something to be talked about how people view each other in relationships. But when this person specifically, or other content creators like her, base their whole identity and lifestyle about relationships suck, men only see you as lesser than, you're not equal to a man in his eyes, etc., only pushing the divide further and further between men and women when it comes to dating and relationships, what do we think is the outcome? It looks like relationships are put on the back burner more and more and more, and then people are in their 30s and they get desperate because there's some sort of clock that's ticking. It looks like people don't know how to respect each other based off of the sole fact that they have two different genders than each other. It looks like people will avoid relationships more and more and more because on one end of the spectrum, there are men telling men not to date these women and stack their bread. And then on the other end, there are women telling women don't deal with these men. And so now you have these two opposing forces pulling each other away from each other, only for them to be criticized and chastised later on in their life.
What you have to understand is a lot of these people on the internet preaching against the opposite gender is either in one of two positions. Either A, they're struggling with the opposite gender, or B, they're just doing it to get views and they don't act anything how they act in their videos. What I realized from like listening to a lot of red pill creators, then going out in the field and trying it on women with dating, that shit does not work, bro. It makes your dating life miserable and toxic. Because if you get with a woman who falls for the gimmicks, she's going to be an airhead. She's going to be like a low-hanging fruit. Like, it's not even going to be worth it. She's going to be toxic. She's going to have a shit ton of baggage. And you're going to have to deal with things from her past relationships because those are the type of guys she like toxic guys. Or, like I said, you're in one of them situations where they're not even practicing what they preach. Like all these guys who like Fresh and Fit, like what's bruh named Fresh? Didn't he get like an OnlyFans girl pregnant or some crazy shit? Like they're not doing the things they're telling you to do. It's just not that simple.
Life when they're not dating, when they get finessed because they don't understand how dating works, when they don't have kids and live out a dream and they call them lonely. This shit is weird.
It is not quirky or funny to publicly admit that your emergency contact is your boyfriend or husband who is deeply incompetent and irresponsible. It is wildly concerning to me to see all of the women that are under this sound that are saying, ladies and gentlemen, my emergency contact, and he is doing the most outlandish type of behavior. The joke being that
So now people can't have fun on TikTok trends. Now guys can't have fun on TikTok trends. And chances are the women ask the men to do this. Like most TikTok trends, girls will talk guys into doing. I hardly ever hear of guys going up to their girls saying, hey babe, let's try the TikTok trend. Take a joke, bro. That's why you're by yourself. I know this woman. Either she's in a miserable relationship or situationship, or she's by herself.
he is doing something that's irresponsible and it's supposed to be funny, but then it also translates to him being your emergency contact. And the joke is supposed to be that if he was in an emergency situation, like that's who would be the one to care for you. I don't find those kinds of jokes funny.
Just like in the male red pill.
This is exactly why red pill guys tell you to stay in frame and be stoic, because women like this who have this expectation that a man has to always be serious and always be cool and laid back, like that's why society is so screwed up, bro. As a man, you can have fun with your girl. Please have fun with your girl, because the minute that she finds a dude who she finds attractive and he can make her laugh and have fun, she's gone.
Space, you have people that are women, literally the opposite of the men, who validate the claims or fears or dreams of fantasies or whatever these things are that the men in this space have. You have the just pearly things. You have the times where Brittany Renner went Muslim. You have any other women who is bashing any other sort of women for having quote unquote promiscuous behavior whole time they got 3 bodies. I don't know. And all it does is help further the point. It's the whole, I have a black friend and he said that this wasn't wrong, so you know it's not wrong. In the female space, there is that exact same thing. I promise you, it is a new era of content creators where women are doing the same thing as men, and because they need their pick-me's to also fall in line, you get this male version of a red pill female content creator who's just validating the claims and concerns of these loser women.
There are only 2 types of men. Type number 1, I'll call these guys the self-starters. These are the confident guys. These are the ones who have their stuff going on. They are very independent. They have been alone before. They know what's up. Now, type number one is rarer, but these are the guys who will actually, let's say, worst case scenario, you guys are together and then break up. They will actually respect your boundaries. Why? Because they already have their own life that they can go right back to. Having said that, this is the type of guy who will move on from you faster. I don't know if that's going to hurt your feelings or not. But type two is the guy who thinks he is independent, but in fact has never really experienced anything other than codependency in his relationships. And if and when eventually that relationship breaks up, because it always does with a guy who's codependent, this is the guy who will keep coming back every single time, even if
You never want to be the second guy, bro. You want to be the first guy. If you and a girl go your separate ways, bro, if she decides to come back, then it's up to you to take her back. That's up to you. But do not be the guy who comes back after a breakup. Do not be, bro. Because you have to understand, like, you need to respect that person's boundaries. You need to respect yourself and your last name. You don't want to be needy. You really want to have a life set up where you have other things you can go focus on. And then once you get yourself together, then you can put yourself back out there and be the man to get, another woman or, someone better for you. But don't be the guy who's needy, who always has to have a woman by his side with him 24/7. You don't want to be that guy.
he is the one who broke up with you first. This is why you always hear me or your friends or other women telling you men always come back, because most guys are type 2 masquerading around like they're type 1 and they are just not.
I think we let stuff like this slide for so long because the narrative, and maybe there's some truth behind it in some situations and in some regards, is that women have been victims in relationships. Now, that almost seems a little oxymoronic because at the end of the day, from my perspective, a lot of the times these people are choosing each other. So how can you be the victim in a relationship where the guy is a mama's boy when you knew he was a mama's boy before you got into it? I have no fucking clue. I don't know. And no, please don't get into my comment section talking about women being abused or whatever. Like physically, that's not what I'm talking about at all. We condemn that behavior. But the way that we look at Fresh and Fit, the way that we look at Kevin Samuels for some of these other people, the way that people look at any of the other red pill manosphere dating guys who are extreme about dating for the men is the same.
I'm gonna say something about Kevin Samuels. A lot of women hated Kevin Samuels, and they only had awareness of his calls with women. Kevin Samuels started off as like an image consultant guy who made content for men, and he would judge men and get on calls and talk junk to men. Then he started doing it to both. It's not just that he hates women or anything like that. That's not who he is. Or that's not who his content showed he was. I didn't know him personally, so I can't say that. But based off his content, it wasn't on some just misogyny type stuff. He just kept it real with people in general, men and women. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Same way that we should look about it for the women. The only reason why we don't, from my perspective, is because there has been this overwhelming majority of people that have felt like women are victims in these relationships that they totally consented to, and ultimately it just didn't end up well. So then they were able to use their voice and get on the internet and project their feelings onto other people. And they put a fancy bow on it by using 3-syllable words that they probably can't even define. But because it's the new buzzword of the week or whatever the case may be, it justifies their feelings and it makes them seem like they were without any sort of fault in these relationships. The true to God only advice that a lot of people need in relationships is go out there and experience stuff. Put yourself out there. Stop being on social media to figure out.
And this is why I be telling my homeboys that be struggling with women that don't have much experience with women, get out there, put yourself out there. Stop expecting a woman to come up to you, because chances are it's not going to happen. Like, go out there, have fun, date. Respect yourself first, but still have fun. Go out, date, see what you like, bro. Because the only way you're going to find the type of woman that you like is to date and figure out what you like. A lot of guys just think, oh, I'm going to get with one woman, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with her. I highly don't recommend you to marry the first girl that you ever date. I'm telling you. You need to get experience. I'm not saying sleep with a bunch of women, but spend time with a couple different women and figure out what you're actually into.
How to do things. This stuff will only give you analysis paralysis, and it will take you out of something that you actively need to participate in order to get better in. Learn, fail, learn, succeed, fail, succeed, learn, fail, learn, and then ultimately you will end up with a much better partner than you had before. And
that's 100% facts, bro. That is 100% facts, because me and my girl now, she has majority of traits that I was looking for in somebody. And, you know, it just makes it even better when you've had experiences and you're like, okay, I really like this. I really like for my person to be this way. When I say my person, I'm not saying it in a corny, like, societal way. I'm saying the person that you're in a relationship with, the person that I'm with, they have these traits that I like. And, you know, I've been through experiences where I didn't like things. I've been through experiences where I did like things. And I kind of have an idea of what I'm looking for. But anyway, man, that's it for this video, man. Hopefully this helped y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. See y'all on the next one.